Monday, everyone. This is Jay Brew, co-chairman of Seafried and Brew. Two subjects I'd like to talk about today. One is the whole aspect of the twist. And is the twist working? Well, as we've been talking about in prior sessions, that essentially moving still that 10-year up from the 170 level, moving its way up to a 228 on Friday, somewhat down in here today, down to about a 221. And there was an article in the Financial Times last week talking about the fact that it really hasn't affected the consumer yet for a couple of different reasons. One is, interestingly enough, with the collapse of the mortgage market, that essentially 65% of all production is controlled by the top 5 type banks in the country, those Wells Fargos and the Bank of America. And when you looked at their rate, when we were back here, they got down to probably around a 410. And as of last Tuesday on a survey, is that mortgage rates moving up for 429, saying that these banks don't want to really be that rate competitive on 30-year mortgages. And I think that with still more positive economic from the standpoint of jobless claims, still moderating down in that 400,000 range, and then looking at the overall, like industrial production, up 0.2%, that recession not happening, pushing more on these long-term rates, also pushing up more to see that 30-year mortgage rate even going higher. So the Fed saving the mortgage market is very questionable in here in terms of getting that mortgage market going again, especially if there's an upward move in rates. The other thing that this article pointed out is that the machinery to do a big financing is not out there because of what happened during the mortgage debacle and so many of the operations being really set aside in here. So when we look at operationally, what this article was concluding is that most likely the Fed is going to have to be very active in terms of trying to keep these mortgage rates down for a long period of time. So we see this as problems in terms of Operation Twist and questioning whether or not it'll have any effect on the housing market. The other thing we want to talk about again is the whole aspect on the front page of the New York Times on Sunday. Another article talking about the Bank of America raising their fees on debit cards to that $5 a month, and talking about the fact that internet banking was a big piece in Bank of America's strategy. That with the number of people doing bill pay out there, the feeling is that most of these accounts will not leave Bank of America, so they figured to go at it from that angle in terms of the debit card fee, that they'd still be able to maintain a majority of those customers as being sticky. So we want to think about this again and underline the fact that now is the time to be out there doing effective marketing. I was talking to my good friend Henry Cook from Somerset Trust today. We talked about two things. One is I asked him how easy is it, because if the Bank of America strategy is that people just don't want to hassle with redoing their bill pay, is that how easy is it for community banks to help customers to switch over? And he brought up a thing that we haven't talked about in a long time, which is the whole aspect of having a switch kit and having your front line trained. And he was going to go back and make sure that the front line is changed and trained in terms of looking at the whole aspect of easily switching these accounts over. The other thing is that what he talked about is also in the newspaper, on the website, and also to hand out in the bank lobby, is a sort of an infomercial where it's sort of an article that's an advertisement, as we're all aware of, that goes through the whole steps in terms of how you can change over your account from one of these larger banks charging higher fees and moving closer to a situation where you have the ability to switch over easily, and this is how you do it. And these are the type of ideas that bankers must focus on in here. Because as we look at it, that this could be a way to bring more of those cash type deposits over, and those cash type deposits being the most valuable. So when we get a chance where the competition feeds us one, we want to take advantage of it. This is Jay Brew, co-chairman of Seafried and Brew. Have a great week.